Sweet.
Awesome. Hey everybody, I'm Shane. I'm here with Kitesurfing Magazine, and this is Ewan Jaspan from Naish Kites.
How's it going?
And he's gonna take us through. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Great, yeah, good to see everyone. It's been a little while. It feels like we did this 2 years ago, and it feels like forever since we've seen the whole industry. So it's great. Everyone's here, everyone's fired up, and we've got wind every day, and
yes,
it's going to be a good time.
Awesome. So what's new with the kites?
Well, yeah, since last 2 years, I've been spending quite a bit of time in Maui. We've been refining the whole lineup. We don't have any new models in the lineup yet, but we do have something very exciting coming soon, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're just going to go through the lineup and what we've refined and what everything's for, and yeah, we're super stoked on how everything's looking at the moment.
Cool, so
we can start with this little thing. So the boxer,
it's a baby kite.
This is our little 4-meter boxer here. But this thing is basically free ride foiling, and actually it's become a favorite for a lot of people in the waves just because it's so light. And we've got this strut here. It's a luff strut where it actually can separate a little bit from the canopy.
Oh, yeah.
So if you see that, it's kind of similar technology that a lot of the wings have as well for it to expand. But for foiling, for the drift, and for down the line wave riding and stuff, that kind of expands, and because it's such a light kite, it will just drift with you. So that's kind of the characteristic that you really want for foiling and wave riding alike. So this is, I use the boxer a lot. Foiling, I use this 4-meter quite a lot. You can
what
go.
Wind range you usually take the 4-meter?
I mean, you can probably go from about 15 knots.
Wow.
The small kites, you can really get up and going, but because they are so small, you can't like power along on them in light wind. You need a bit more grunt. They're so small, you can kind of pull them towards you instead of it pulling you towards it.
Yes.
But if you're riding like a surf foil or something, you can definitely go in 15 knots or a bigger kite foil.
Yep.
And then all the way up. There's almost no top end for foiling on this thing. I took this out here the other day on one of the crazy blasting gorge 35 knot days.
Yep.
From here up to Swell City in a couple of tacks, and then the whole way downwind, you just park it there, it drifts, and you just slash your way back down here. That was my most fun.
So the boxer, this is about third or fourth version of it?
I think this came out in 2017.
Okay.
So we're on like the fifth one. This year, the main refinements, we've got a few less panels, so it's a little bit lighter weight.
Yep.
Obviously the boxer's not meant to ride fully lit up. You're never going to be going out and riding big air kite loops and stuff on this thing. We're not going to try and tell people that this does everything. It's not a big air kite loop and kite, so it doesn't need so many panels to keep that canopy. This is all about lightweight, and with the Quadtex material, we've got basically no Dacron on the whole kite. You'll see we've got the shark teeth trailing edge has been refined this year.
It's not as spiky
so
as it used to be.
We don't have the big spiky shark teeth. We just figured after using them every year, the material's lasting so well that we just need that little bit along the trailing edge just to reduce the flutter. So the shark teeth here, well, sorry, it's not the shark teeth anymore, but the trailing edge, it's just double layered Quadtex just to reduce a bit of the flutter. And then we've also lightened out all these bumpers and stuff. Used to be big padded things, but just with this Kevlar here and just a little bit of Dacron, it's lighter again, and it's enough. And this kite, you can see it's just canopy material all the way to the edge. The Dacron is just this little bit here and where you attach the back lines, so it's super lightweight. And this thing, like right now, there's not much wind and you'd have no worries going out on this kite at the moment.
So this is an amazing kite for foilers, but also probably for beginners, is it okay?
Beginners, so this kite is it's definitely the biggest size range we've got. It goes from a 2.8 or 2.7, I think, all the way up to a 16 meter. So the 16 meter, I've been riding the 16 meter myself in the park a lot. It is a great kite for light wind, sheet in and go. It just sits there. If you're a beginner, it sits there, you don't need to worry about it. If you're trying tricks or hitting the park or whatever, it's the same thing. You don't need to worry about it and you can focus on what you're doing. Cool. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously we've also got these little drainage holes. So when you're light wind relaunching, especially for foiling, you notice a lot of the time that the hardest bit about relaunching your kite is not getting it from here to the side, it's getting it to unstick from its side and relaunch. So this just helps the water come out the tip and it doesn't hold it down. But yeah, so this thing for
Any work on the bridle lines at all, or have they been
the bridle's
shorter?
the bridle and the box is the same. The general performance and shape of the kite is the same. We've just been working on the construction and just making it work in lighter wind, which is what this thing's for.
Amazing.
Yeah, so great kite for everything. And then
what's up next here? The dash.
The dash. So the dash is something that we've definitely been working on in the last few years, bridle-wise and shape-wise.
Yeah.
So one thing that we did, I think on our last edition, but it's on this one now, we obviously didn't talk about it last time because we weren't here, so go through that now, is this little bridle adjustment. So this bridle point here on the kite is a really sensitive area on the kite to change.
Yeah.
And what you've got here is just two options. You're on this long setting, which leaves the kite, if you think about the kite here, the bridle point's right here that we're talking about.
Yes.
If it's longer, it kind of lets the kite be a little more open, a little more floaty jumps, a little bit more like a pivot feel.
I see.
If you're comparing it to one, and then when from here,
so flattens out for bigger kind of floaty longer
air,
distance jumps.
and then you can just move this
into there,
onto the shorter point,
and that gives you your freestyle action.
And then that will close the kite up a little bit, give you a little bit more direct, powerful turning. It's my personal way I like to ride the kite because it kind of makes me feel a little bit more like the torch.
Right.
So obviously it's not like you've got a pivot and a torch, but it gives you that more
amazing
little either floatier jumps or more like straight up and down,
pop
aggressive sea kite type jump.
Quick loop, tighter loops.
So the dash, basically, we've worked a lot on all the kites that we just went through on the box of the construction changes. We've kind of moved that through all the kites.
Yep.
The dash, the torch, and the pivot, we didn't remove any of the panels. We still kept that because you want the rigidity in these kites. They're high-performing kites that you use in a lot of wind.
Cool.
But you can see with all the bumpers, it's all much more lightweight.
Yep.
And so the dash is that kind of kite that if you're someone you don't want to go full pivot because you might still want to get that kind of old school, direct, powerful feel, super exciting ride, and you still want to maybe unhook, do some Rayleighs, S-bends, try a few handle passes, that kind of stuff. This is the all-rounder. So this thing, the 9 and the 10, I love for big air as well. The 10 meter actually similar power to like a 9 meter pivot, and you can go out and loop that thing in super strong winds. The 10 meter, they've just got such a good top end. And then in lighter wind, you can unhook on them and all that. So that's just the dash, especially with this cool new the limited edition skull graphics. It's a really light.
That was the first kite I ever had in 1999. I had that on it.
Sick. Bringing it back.
I know.
People are loving
it's still in
it.
my closet.
People are loving it. We've got the crew, the Frothmasters guys here, and they're all about it. They've gone full pirate since this thing came out. So.
Yes. I remember there was one with the skull on it, and there was one with this turtle.
Yeah, maybe it was like a tribal turtle.
Tribal turtle, yeah.
That thing was sick. Maybe that's next.
Maybe. There you go. There's an idea.
Who knows? But yeah, so that's just a kind of fun, like sports car, all-round kind of kite. If you're wanting to go just pure unhooking, all that, pure old school feel, we've got I don't have a torch here, but that's still there. That's not going anywhere. It's like a, it's like a brand image.
You're doing the torches in the competitions, the GK freestyle.
Yeah, I'm riding the torch a lot of the time. The last few years I've kind of broadened my riding quite a lot, and I am riding all the kites now, foiling big air, all that stuff. But if I'm going to go out and go for handle passes or compete, or there's just no substitute for a torch. You just can't go wrong with it. It is the easiest kite to learn new tricks on.
Right.
But it's just
So if you want to progress in the freestyle mode, handle passes.
Yeah. The torch is the way to go. Yeah. Then we'll move on to the Triad. So the Triad, I think we had that last time you guys were here, but it's a fairly new kite in the lineup as well. Mm-hmm. When we launched it, it was the kite for 99% of the kiteboarding world, or the world in general. Right. It is just like, it's like a pivot. We've still got that performance, but it's a little more sheet in and go. Mm-hmm. It's got less panels, so it's a little lighter, so it kind of expands a little easier for beginners. Mm-hmm. And it's still a great all-round kite. It's got the drainage things in the tip as well, so it's really catered. It's like a pivot catered to be, if you're just not quite sure, you're learning, you're not quite sure if you're ready for the performance, you want it, if you think you're gonna need that extra little bit of help for a beginner kite, the Triad's going to do that, but it's also not one to outgrow. It's built off the pivot DNA, so it's still really great for jumping and all around bit of wave riding, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's a really exciting one. We've actually been using that a lot more. I personally have actually started using it as well, just for big air and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Because it's those
Why do you use that over the pivot for big air, do you think?
Well, it's a little, because of the characteristics that we made to make it a little friendlier for beginners, actually makes it a little friendlier for big air as well. Just, it's so predictable, so nice and easy. It's not going to pull you too hard or do anything unexpected, so you can kind of trust it a lot. Not that I don't, I mean, I do usually use the pivot, but like in Maui and stuff, when we're down the beach testing, I'll grab a Triad any day of the week and go out and throw some loops.
Maybe if the conditions are a little bit hairy, you could use it?
You could use it. I mean, personally, I'll just use it if we're in Maui. I don't travel around with a Triad, obviously, I can't take everything. But if we're at the beach testing in Maui, and I'm stoked to go out in the Triad and throw loops and big air and all that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, and then we can, onto the pivot. So the pivot's kind of one that we've done a lot of work with. It's the legend, it's a bread and butter kite. You want to do anything in kiteboarding, this will do it for you. I mean, you can't, anyone's going to buy a Naish kite and you tell them to buy a pivot.
It's been the all-terrain model.
They're not going to go wrong with this at all. So one thing we worked on a lot with the pivot this year was the big sizes though. We all know the 7, 8, 9, 10 pivot for big air. For all round, they're just like the money kites. They work so well. But we've kind of, over the last few years, been thinking, how do we make the bigger kites kind of get that jumping ability and a bit more hang time, a bit more exciting. So we worked on the 12 and 14 this year. They were really powerful kites, the 12 and 14, they still are. But the power, we wanted to make the power kind of easier to handle and manage, so you can translate that power into going up instead of going forward a bit more. So we kind of thinned out the profile. It's a little higher aspect. This is our 12-meter pivot here. And you actually, it's really noticeable when you put it up. You can tell it's a new shape. So it's higher aspect, which means you can hold more power with it. It flies forward quicker. So then when you send, the turning speed's not quicker, but the flying speed is quicker. So when you send it up to 12, it really shoots up there. And you can kind of hold that power longer and later. So then when it goes up to 12, you go up more and you have a lot more height out of the 12 and the 14. And we've been really enjoying riding those new 12 and 14. So I'll probably take it out in a bit. 2 weeks ago at Kiteboard for Cancer, we had similar winds to this, and I took the 12 pivot out for a while, and I was loving the thing. Just such great jumps and light winds. So that's something that we're all trying to get everyone to try this new 12 pivot, because we're really stoked with the way it's turned out. So exactly. Maybe we'll have an old one you can test back to back, and this thing's great though.
Well, I've ridden the pivots a lot, so I probably don't need to,
But no, if you've ridden the 12 pivots for the last few years, we'd be stoked to get you on this thing and see what you think, because that's our kind of best improvement in the whole lineup this year is our 12 pivot for sure.
Well, everyone needs a good 12 in their quiver.
Exactly. So here it is.
Cool.
And then I think that's pretty much all the kite line. Obviously, we've got the torch as well. We've got the slash. We can go through the slash, the wave kite. So the same thing that we did with the boxer on the slash, we've taken a few of the panels out to make it a bit lighter. And because what you want in a wave kite obviously is drift and not a lot of pull through the turns. You want to be able to like do your bottom turn, loop it, and kind of just have a consistent pull through the whole loop instead of cranking it, yanking down the line and then having no power again. You want that nice predictable loop where it kind of just pivots through the loop nicely, and then when you sheet out it'll just drift and expand with air. So that's what we've done with the slash. Lighter, less panels, just so it drifts better. But it's obviously, if you're strapless wave riding, down the line surfing, that's...
Or maybe a little foiling as well.
Exactly, the characteristics that make, as we said with the boxer, a good foil kite really cross over to a good wave kite. So if you're a wave rider and you're going foiling as well, if you're leaning more towards wave riding, I'd say the slash. If you're leaning more towards foiling, you go the boxer and then you wave ride on that.
Maybe you mix it up and have a size of boxer and then go into slashes for
the bigger ones or something as well. But So that's
Cool.
that's our dedicated wave kite. But yeah, we
Awesome.
can go chat about some boards and some foils and stuff.
You go check out the some boards.
Yeah, for sure. Check out our big tent setup and all that. We've got all the crew in town here at the moment, so it's great to see. Last time a bunch of the guys from Maui couldn't make it out, but we've got Robbie here. We've got our foil and windsurf designer Nils. We've got Mickey, windsurf foil and all that. Des, kiteboarding everything, and yeah, it's great to have such a good team in town at the moment. Well, since we're coming across them here, I'll just grab a couple of wings that go with these, but can I just grab these foil? Do you mind passing me that 960?
You want a full?
Thanks. So, got a few of our kite foil stuff here. So, we've got obviously a big range of the hover foil boards at the moment. Going from, this is the 97, this is my personal favorite, and it's kind of, a lot of people see it and they think it's tiny, but that's becoming what everyone wants to ride at the moment. The smaller the foil board for kite foiling, once you're up, I mean, you have no issues getting up with a kite. We're not winging, we don't need to have that flotation or anything. You can work the kite and get up. And as soon as you're up, the smaller the board, the more connected you are to the foil, the quicker you can whip it around, and basically all you need is a board wide enough for your stance. So 97 centimeters, then we've got the 112, 127, 144. And then we don't actually have one here, but we've got a kite, like a crossover foil board, which is a surfboard with foil tracks in it and foot strap inserts. So those things are really popular because they're easy to learn on, they're great to ride with fins and no foil, and then they're with the nose rocker and all that, they're really great for foiling on as well, and nice to touch down.
And so you have a couple different mast constructions, it looks like.
Yeah, so this is the aluminium.
Yeah.
Aluminum for the, American Canadians.
Aluminium? Or
Aluminium, that's what I'm all about. And then we've got a C35, which is 35% carbon, and then we've got a 100% carbon mast. Awesome. And they come in 95, 85, and 75 centimeters. Most people will want to kite on the 95. It's kind of a standard kite length.
Yes.
You want that height going through the chop. You want the room for turning and all that. So
how do I choose what kite foil I want to use? Or do you usually carry a couple wings?
Well, so we've got 3 main kite foil wings. Yep. Obviously, you can foil on anything. All the surf foils, the high aspect, basically whatever you feel like riding from the lineup. Everything works. Everything's interchangeable. And there's like no rules between anything. But saying that, we do have 3 kite-specific wings.
Okay.
So this one's the Kite 960. This thing's really just made to be like the easiest foil to learn on. Yeah. It's really the beginner foil. It lifts super easily. It's not going to give you that jerk up out the water that a lot of bigger foils do give you. This thing's just meant to slowly rise up, really just easy to turn it back and forward. And basically, if you're learning foiling and you feel like you're going to have a bit of a struggle with it, this thing is going to make it as easy as possible.
Amazing.
And then moving on from there, these are the 2 that I ride most of the time.
Right.
My personal favorite is the 650. This thing is so quick.
And these are all new construction this year?
So they're all new. Last year we had the carbon mash construction. Yeah. This year it's full carbon construction, super
full
stiff.
Carbon. It's
super
so
strong.
Light and strong. Yeah.
So strong. You can just bash them into. Not that I'm saying bash them into stuff,
but if they
do, they're really strong and they're going to hold up well. So really nice glossy finish, super quick through the water.
Yeah, this is an aluminum fuselage. That's standard.
Yeah.
Is there any different size lengths?
So this year we have the extra lengths. So we've got 54 centimeters and 64 centimeters.
Oh, okay.
Which are the main ones.
Looks like so
and
you
then
can move this in.
Yeah, so that'll. I think this is about 5 centimeters. So it'll go down to 49.
Adjust it, and the performance difference between having it out and in.
So a longer one will be a little more stable, pitch and turning. Okay. The shorter, you just get more, the more comfortable you get, the shorter you want to get, because then you can tighter turns, slash it around, pump quicker. Yep. So say you're surf foiling or pumping through lulls kiting, a shorter one's going to give you quicker pumps, a longer one's going to give you kind of longer glidier pumping.
Awesome.
But this thing is super quick. I was riding this one in Kiteboard for Cancer the other day. Did
you win?
I got second, so
That's good.
It's pretty good. Pretty good for a part-time foiler. But yeah, I was battling Fred Hope the whole time.
Oh, of course.
So that's a tough one. He's a pretty good foiler, Fred Hope.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm pretty happy with second place. We won the team division for foiling using this as well though. So it's a super fast foil, but super surfy, carvy feel. The main design thing with this one that makes it so good at high speed is these wingtips.
Yep.
They actually, at high speed, the wingtips start making downforce. So the lift at high speed is coming from the center section of the foil.
It goes from front foot to back foot.
No, so it stays even.
It stays even the whole time.
Because a lot of foils, the faster you go, you see people start hanging over their nose trying to keep it down at high speeds. But this one, you can lock into one stance
and that's
ride
all
it.
about this shape.
That's all about the way the wingtips have been designed. So at higher speed, the center starts creating more lift, but the wingtips start countering that with a bit of downforce. So then you have even pressure, whether you just popped up and you're at like stall speed, or you're at maxing speed. I did 42 miles an hour on this thing the other day.
42 miles.
Which is pretty crazy, and I was, yeah, I did.
And then you skidded for a while.
Yeah, going through there was 100 people on the water, and going through everyone's wake and chop, sometimes I'd just blow up at 40 miles an hour and cartwheel a few times. But yeah, I had even foot pressure at 40 miles an hour or at 15 miles an hour.
So there you go, folks, if you want to go fast.
Yeah.
To what?
And then this thing is direct relative of the 650, the 810. It's basically
it's going to give you a little more lift.
A little more lift, still really good speed, but pops up a little early as well.
Yeah.
And this is basically all-round, anyone who's getting into foiling, who's experienced foiling, who's an intermediate, this is where I'd point you. This thing is super fast, super carvy, and really easy to ride. Comes up, it's got quite a thin profile, so it doesn't pop up super quick. Yeah. You can kind of glide it up to speed, and then it's just an all-round carvy, fast, fun foil. And this is our kind of bread and butter foil that we'll put.
Amazing. The finish looks amazing.
The finish is great. The construction's great, and same thing. They come with the same back wing, which is cool. So you can buy just a front wing and sub your front wing out and have a bit more speed or a bit better light wind ability, bit earlier pop up, all that stuff. So we're really proud of the kite foil lineup at the moment. I've been trying a few other ones, and I can't get off. These are just as good as it gets, I think. So
let's get out on them.
Yeah, we're gonna get out, and then we've got the surfboards and twin tips. You want to go through them as well? Yeah. So surfboards, we've actually the last couple of years expanded our surfboard lineup a bit, really gone specialised into different constructions, different conditions to ride in. We've still got a few of the kind of faithful names in the lineup, the go-to we've had for quite a few years. Name says, kind of just like all-round easy waves, mushy on shore, whatever. You can even take it out and we've been riding this thing at Hokipa and Maui and nice big waves, and it's just like a classic, nice all-round surfboard feel. So then we got the Global, which is kind of big down the line. We can pull it. If you want to just come around, we won't pull it out the rack at the moment. But this is the Cup. So the Global comes in two constructions. This is the carbon one. Obviously a bit more strength, a bit more response, all that kind of stuff. But this is for like kind of bigger waves, down the line surfing, high speed, big power turns. You'll see Robbie go out on this thing in foot straps and just blast huge turns. So that's what that one's for. We've got around here, we've got the Strapless Wonder and the Gecko. So the Gecko, as the name would suggest, is like a strapless freestyle board for sticking to your feet like a gecko. So this one's for kind of like riders in Hood River here who are out, want to do a few turns but also blast big airs, have it just really nice control, really kind of good strong edging as well. So you don't skip out when you're loading up super powered for a big jump. This thing's really going to hold in. And the Strapless Wonder is another
I rode this one last year. I was amazed at actually how it gets up and going.
Yeah, really great. Same thing, you can ride it flat water / this kind of stuff, take it out in proper waves, This is what I rode mostly in Maui when I'm out there surfing. Comes in 2 constructions as well, the GS and then the standard construction. This is kind of a cheaper construction, got a different pad, and then the standard one has the same pads and construction as the other ones. So this is, yeah, kind of, I don't know if you know a few of the like surfboards. There's a the Hayden Shapes Hypto Crypto is like a really popular surfboard in the surfing world. And I kind of compare that a little bit to this. It's kind of like you do it all, easy to ride, fast, just surfy board. So that's a really nice one here. As you say, you ride it, it goes in light wind and all that. And then we've got the Skater, which has kind of probably been our most popular surfboard for the last 10 years, I'd say. And yeah, this year, along with all the boards actually.
So it's fairly similar kind of snub nose to the Gecko. What's
so this one, the Gecko is definitely more of like a strapless freestyle board.
Okay.
The Skater's still meant to surf.
Okay.
So this thing still turns great. It's got these little grips here as well. A lot of the strapless freestylers like this board as well. Nice hand grips there.
Right.
But
it's got a little.
Yeah, a little concave there, so you can grab there.
See it, but if you get close. A little indent there.
Yeah, so this is a big one. This is the 5.4. It's the biggest size. And as with all the constructions, they're all a lot lighter this year, new constructions. And yeah, this one's just kind of onshore mushy waves, even taken into bigger waves, but strapless freestyle. The one thing people love about the Skater though is if you're not a surfboard rider and you're not used to riding surfboard, you can get on this and it's almost got a little bit of twin tip feel to it. Like when you're riding it through the water, it really kind of feels, if you're just a twin tip rider, you can get on this and know how to ride it straight away.
The rocker and the
the rocker and the rails and all that kind of stuff. Obviously the shape of it, a little with the cut off nose and all that.
First surfboard.
If this, if first surfboard and also wanting to take it, this one's really great. And then move on to twin tips. You're standing next to, since you last saw me, I've managed to get myself a board in this lineup.
You got your own board?
I've got my own board. So, yeah,
is that a picture of your hometown or something?
It's actually, reasonably. This is, I grew up in Scotland until I was 11, and this is Loch Lomond. It's close to Loch Ness, not too far.
Jeez, I'm nailing it.
But this is, we used to hang out, go barbecue and camp at this spot. So it's a really nice photo of this is a tree like just past the car park where we used to kind of cruise in. And
it's the Joshua tree of Scotland.
Yeah, it's called the Lonely Tree or something. Wow. And it just sits just out in the water, and it's been there for, since I was a kid. But what we worked on with this was kind of just a broad range, and as the name, the Traverse, it's kind of just meant to go everywhere, do everything, hold up to anything. It's got the grind base on it, so whether you're freestyling, a lot of the team use this for freestyle at the moment, foot straps, carving, it's the main design thing to it though is its length. So you'll notice compared to other boards, I've been riding a 152.
Wow.
Which that is the reaction most people give me. But
why do you like the longer?
So it's really like carvy, like a nice kind of surfy feel. Landings are amazing because you don't, on a short board you land and you disperse a lot of it's a small area to disperse a lot of water, and you kind of stick and you don't glide out of it. The long board, like a 152, you land and it just glides out, so it gives you that forward momentum when you land instead of taking it all down. So when you're going for whatever you're going for, big jumps, hard tricks, cruising around, it gives you that glide. So that's, pretty...
There you go, folks.
Yeah,
Shorter's
long
not
boards.
Necessarily better.
No, long boards are where it's at.
Long boarders coming
so
back.
I'm 75, 80 kilos, and I'm riding a 152 a lot of the time. There's a 144 and a 138.
And you ride it with boots, or you ride it with straps?
I ride it with both. I ride the 138 or the 144 for big air stuff.
Yeah.
They ride about 6 to 8 centimeters shorter than what the size says if you were to compare it to any of the other kiteboards in our range.
That, folks, 6 to 8 centimeters shorter for the Triad.
So if you were on like a 138 Motion or something, you'd compare it to a 144 Traverse. If you're on the 142s, you'd size up to a 152, or you could do the 144, but Also, the 152 is there for the bigger rider who wants a kind of performance board, because a lot of the time a bigger rider wants a big board and they get a door. And it's got no performance, no fun. This thing, you can slash it around, carve it, it's super smooth. The continuous rocker and the outline also, no spray in the eyes, all that kind of stuff. So it's a really comfortable all-rounder and built to last. So that's kind of fitting my riding style perfectly. We've got the standard.
These are all wood core with AWSI.
They're all wood core. Boards is the standard Traverse, which is the same design, but it's a little bit flexier, it doesn't have the grind base, and it comes with different fins. My one's got specifically designed 2.8 centimeter fins, which really, they're kind of designed to go with the board, same thing, longer instead of shorter and wider, longer, so kind of you get the same grip, but it's not like a trip you up grip. It's like a kind of progressive loading grip. So yeah, pretty stoked with that setup. And then we move on to the drive, which is based off the Motion, which we'll get to in a bit, but it's like a performance freeride board, full carbon construction, crazy lightweight, really responsive.
So is that your new high-end twin tip for just, is it higher than the Motion? Like
yeah, so
like
basically it's like a high-end Motion, exactly. For those guys that want the carbon board, the super lightweight thing. With the big air riding, all the board offs coming back into style, you want a really light board as well.
Right.
And this, a lot of the team riders are competing on this board actually in King of the Air and the Big Air Kite League and that kind of stuff.
Layup over the wood core, is that
yeah, exactly. So super lightweight, really responsive, a lot of control because of how responsive the carbon construction is. And then it's got a single concave through the whole thing on the bottom for a nice, like, fast, grippy feel.
Yep.
Doesn't have any, like, a lot of the boards.
Can we have a look at the concave?
Yeah, let's grab it out. We hold it in the sun so you can see it. So there's the single concave, runs the whole way up. We don't have any, like, super strong spines in the board, because although that makes grip, it does slow it down.
Yeah.
You want like a smooth.
It looks really slick.
Yeah, it's really slick board, super fast. And
you
then
got
these
little channels, these right
rail
here.
channels provide a lot of grip and control in high winds.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, nice lightweight carbon. All around that comes 134, 138. New graphics, same ones. We actually have a bigger. This is a bigger size. You see, this is 9 to 15. So we've actually released in a bigger size now for people who either have bigger feet or if you're using booties. Exactly, in the cold weather and you're riding booties, you kind of need the bigger foot strap. And then they also have 2 different densities that you can put in the bed. There's a hard and a soft one.
Cool.
Got the Monarch, which is basically the board if you want to hold down the most amount of power, go fast, do big air and strong winds. This thing's gonna. It's what
just extra channeling to help you do that.
Huge channeling. So you can see it's got a lot of channels through the whole board. This board is all about grip. It's basically big fins, big channels, square tips, and this, opposite to the Traverse, rides bigger than what it says. So say you're on a 138 drive, you'd probably drop to the 135 Monarch.
Because it's so grippy.
Because it's so grippy and the wide tips as well. It's flat, it's fast. You want to ride a small one of these. So that thing is just for loading up big air. This is what it's been ridden in King of the Air for many years as well, for those strong days. So we'll go around the other side. So we've got the Hero here, which is a kind of easy entry freeride level board. It's been redesigned actually quite a bit in the last few years to have a much nicer construction. It's quite a wide board, so you get a lot of kind of glide and float from it.
Yep.
But it's still really fun board. It's not one you're going to straight up outgrow when you're learning on it like a school board. Right. Some schools will teach on this, but you can also ride this for your first years of kiteboarding and do a bit of big air, bit of free ride stuff before you're ready to progress to another board. It's not like you're going to outgrow it in your first 6 months. So, and we've got the Switch, which is a really interesting one. As you can see here, it's an asymmetrical board.
Oh yeah, look at that.
So this thing's set up. What size we got here?
The heel side edge is shorter than the toe side edge.
Or or the other way
Or
if
the
you want
other
to
way.
switch
Well,
around.
that's
So
right. Depends on
this is either you want to ride high winds, you might want to hold down more power. You can go in the shorter hillside rail.
Yeah.
If you're in a bit lighter wind, you can go in the longer one. Or
Interesting.
you can, one of the big things that we kind of do with it and sell to people is you can share this board with someone who's a different size to you.
Right. So if your
So if
girlfriend
your
rides and she
girlfriend
wants,
or your boyfriend wants to get into kiting, you can buy this board and switch it around and share it, and travel board as well. It's great for a wide range of conditions, and it's actually the same thing. It's built off the Motion, so it's got the same single concave and hillside rail channels, so it's still a really high performing board. It's just got a little bit extra options for those people who want to.
Length.
That's it.
That'd be awesome for travel.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Alana, it's a female-specific board, or lighter riders.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be just for females. It's a pretty cool graphic. I really like it myself personally.
Yeah, it's not too girly. Like some girls don't like the super
exactly.
girly stuff.
So this thing's pretty sick. The main things that we focus on with a female or lighter rider board is the width, because most female riders have smaller feet, so they can't, if they're on a wider board, like a 42 wide board, you can't dig that rail in enough. So this thing's only 39 centimeters wide, which is really narrow. The tips pull in a lot as well. So with a smaller foot, you can really control the board really well, and it's still a super high performance base as well. Lots of channeling. Got these really deep hillside rails here, so you still get loads of performance out of it. It's a nice softer flex as well, so you know, lighter riders need a little bit more flex to have the same control over their board.
Very cool. Ladies, take note.
That's it.
Is there still a ground board, or is that kind of?
No, so this kind of replaces the Grom one. It's a 132 by 39, so probably, if you were to compare it to like a Motion or a Hero or something, the 132 would ride probably like a 128, which is like a kind of Grom size. So there's not many riders that would be too small for that thing. And then obviously kind of the biggest seller, the Benchmark, the Motion, it's just...
Those are really cool graphics. I like the sublimated.
Yeah, a little bit of tribal in there, and we've got the new flex tips as well, which kind of just gives you a little more control through the tips, a nice flexy feel, so you can, when you're carving and stuff, you get that control. And yeah, as we've kind of gone through, we've got a couple of boards that are based off this single concave, nice rail channels, lots of grip, and it's just super fun, forgiving, playful performance board. This one, a couple of our big air riders are using this as well, just because it's so predictable and
easy to
easy to handle, easy to edge, and what makes, when you're riding that performance stuff, you just want something that's predictable and easy, because then you can push it and not be worried about your gear. This thing will do exactly what you want it to do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, all the line looks great.
Yeah, we're really stoked with everything.
Thanks for taking us through.
Thanks for coming and checking it out, and hopefully you can get out on a few of it.
Check out Naish.com, NaishKiteboarding.com, and get out on this stuff. Amazing stuff.
Cheers guys.
Cheers.